We're not opposed to people protecting their property. We are opposed to losing our beach.
Sand, not concrete.
This will help save Collaroy Narrabeen Beach.
That was the message this weekend. Protesters continuing their campaign against the Great Wall of Collaroy. Standing 7 metres tall, this vertical seawall is built to protect a strip of private properties from storm surges they've experienced plenty of times before.
When you look at the ocean when it's angry, it's a massively powerful beast. We didn't know how long that would go, and it went for 3 days. So it's a pretty solid hit.
In 2016, these images captivated the nation. An entire beach swallowed by the sea, houses teetering on the edge, this pool lost to the ocean. Residents evacuated, some for months.
Did you think you might lose the place?
Yeah, there was a possibility. It came right in next to my deck, which is like 4 or 5 metres from the front wall of the apartment.
After years of negotiation, Bob Orth and other property owners across 10 lots applied to the Northern Beaches Council for a seawall at a cost of $300,000 each. This is what it looks like after 11 months of construction.
Council and the state government said they would put in 20% of the cost, so we're putting in 80%.
And so the result is that there's not a seawall along the entire beach though, right? It's just this one pocket. Does that solve the problem?
No, it doesn't, but it encourages others to do the same, I'm sure. And at the moment, just north of us, there's another a wall similar to ours, nearly completed. So I think fairly soon the whole beach area, this strip, Collaroy Narrabeen Beach, will be protected, and it has to be because you can't leave a gap.
When you see it in construction, it's obvious why this wall and plans to build more like it are dividing the community. It ain't pretty. But those that support it say when the whole thing is finished, the sand will be replaced, it'll be less of an eyesore, and the beach will return to normal. Opponents say a rock revetment like this one protecting a council car park nearby was the solution all along.
I would say the residents are quite happy with the wall. I would say the council's quite happy with the wall because they're not really paying for most of the private walls. And I would say the general public is furious with the wall.
Brendan is president of the Surfrider Foundation's Northern Beaches branch. He reckons the wall will jeopardise the health of the beach and the safety of surfers who use it. This
is vandalism, and needless vandalism. That's real frustration of it. Is that there was better ways. There was always better ways.
This seawall is brutalist engineering of last century. For many, many years, we've stopped using that kind of approach.
Angus Gordon's been a coastal engineer for over 50 years. He says they couldn't have come up with a worse solution.
Well, basically, the design the way it is causes the waves to be reflected, and that increases the wave energy immediately in front of the wall.
When a wave hits a vertical wall, there's nowhere for it to go, so it bounces back to sea with more intensity, taking more sand with it. Experts say the same wave hitting a rock revetment loses energy as the force dissipates in every direction, meaning less sand is pulled out to sea and the beach recovers more quickly.
So what really happens is you've got a wall that is protecting the properties, but it's at the cost of a public beach.
We had experts look at our design, and the opinion we got back was that the wall we are building will actually improve the beach and protect our properties.
This does not serve the beach. It may serve some private interest, but it certainly does not serve the beach.
Some coastal engineers think we should get used to seawalls. With climate change causing rising sea levels, the demand for them will increase.
Assets, both public and private, need to be protected. I mean, if this seawall isn't built to protect the properties and nothing else is done, well, then eventually a seawall will need to be constructed to protect Pittwater Road.
There are vertical seawalls at other beaches in Australia. Why is it such a problem to build one here?
The problem here is the seawall's been built too far forward. If you have a look at, say, Bondi or Manly, you'll see that the wall is built at the very back of the beach, not even halfway down to almost in the water. And so the further back the seawall is, the less impact it has.
The decision to place the wall a few metres closer to the ocean and reclaim metres of usable land has also ruffled a few feathers.
I don't think that they got bad value for money. I think their properties are worth a great deal more today behind that vertical seawall than they were before that vertical seawall was there.
Can you see why some of the protesters are angry about that?
Well, that's a funny argument when it's our land in the first place. If we were going to be silly about it, we could put a fence down on the beach, on our boundary, and cut off, as I say, 1,000 square metres of beach that people could use. If we wanted to be silly about it.
Angus Gordon chaired the New South Wales State Government's Coastal Panel and helped develop the state's Coastal Management Act. He questions the legality of the wall and the council's approval of it.
Because the Coastal Act clearly states that unless certain criteria are met, a consent authority, it doesn't say cannot give, it says must not give consent.
We're just playing the same dumb game that comes from the feds through the states down to councils. We're better than this. We're a smart country. This is dumb. This is really dumb.
Does it make you feel differently about living here and being here knowing that there is such opposition to it?
No, because again, we have to be happy in ourselves that we're doing the right thing, and we are. So I've got a clear conscience. Talking about sleeping at night, I can sleep very happily at night knowing we're protected and we've done the right thing.
It's funny because that story centred on just that one particular community with that one issue, right? But if you think about climate change and it possibly exacerbating, instances like that, well, the entire country's a coastline, isn't it? And you can kind of sense that there'd be other communities who would deal with something similar.
Not just coastal areas, it's also people that live in the bush. If you're up against bushland, we're starting to face more challenges from the climate and extreme weather conditions that are going to mean that we are faced with really difficult decisions about how we respond. Do we stay there, keep trying to live in those environments, or do we pull back? I think we're going to face a lot of choices like this.
Yeah, it was an interesting question, like how do you feel living in this community where a lot of people disapprove? You'd feel a bit bad, wouldn't you?
Sure, but also people want their homes and they want to defend their homes. We approached Northern Beaches Mayor Michael Regan and the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces in New South Wales, Rob Stokes. Both declined an interview while Council provided a statement. You can read that on our website.